Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, do I have a surprise for you? What you see before you is the updated version of my previous graphics load order and my best load order yet. This time around, combat has been heavily modified and tons of gameplay changes have been made, making the world and your experience feel more alive with a heavy dose of realism. As far as the performance of this load order, with this many mods, frame rate drops and crashing is more rare than ever. While in a low frame situation, no more of that mega stuttering that only this game has when the frames drop. More on all of that later, but stay here for a moment. This load order is going to be a slightly difficult one to download, so if you're new to modding, listen up. To all my veteran modders, if you know how to wipe your system clean and avoid ghost space, the only difficult part is downloading all the right mods, which could take about 2 hours or so for a load order of this size. Now, for all of my beginners, the mod menu is pretty messed up and you can and will run into problems. I recently made a video to help you guys avoid the headaches and help you save time. The link to that will be in the description. I recommend watching that video to minimize problems that you may be causing yourself. Before we begin the video, this load order is going to leave you with 11 to 12 megabytes of free space, so you likely won't be able to add any more mods. This load order was designed to change and fix as many different aspects as possible, basically giving the game as full of a makeover as 5 gigabytes will allow us. If you don't have the anniversary edition of Skyrim, search for the standard edition of the mod instead. If you can't find one, it's likely because there isn't one. Without further ado, let's explore some of the changes that were made so you can grasp the new world. What better way to start than with the biggest changes? Leave your basic understanding of the vanilla game at the door because things have been changed quite a bit. Thanks to the mod Immersion, the economy, NPC behavior, and loot is now affected by many different variables: world events, story progression, the civil war, the season, and even the wealth of the city. Crimes are more expensive and bounties are more rewarding, depending on the area. Immersive text changes such as NPCs remaining unknown until you speak to them, or in some cases until they speak. Enemy NPCs can travel outside of the cells they were set to. The types of NPCs also better reflect the environment that surrounds them. Items now have a rarity system that affects the chances of you finding them, common being the easiest and exotic being the rarest. Artifacts are also unleveled and items can be found where you would expect them to be, like dwarven items being in dwarven ruins and not in some random cave with a bear. Valuable items are less likely to be laying around. The more valuable it is, the higher the chance it'll be stored somewhere instead. To further the immersion, I paired Emily up with the RPG Overhaul, which adds a number of balance changes. Armor sets are now a thing, each race has a unique benefit, you can modify your character with a craftable mirror, distinct racial body morphs for standout visual effects, standing stones have been overhauled, and even an in-depth character backstory creator for yourself. And that's not just it. I've also added Ordinator, which is a complete rework of the entire perk system, completely changing your approach on how you build a character. We're using the maximum combat version for more compatibility. There's a crazy amount of new options added to the perk trees, and in order to make things more achievable, we'll be pairing it with the mod's 50% more points and Radiant Quest point system. Together with Ordinator, these will help you build your character to something meaningful without being level 400. Speaking of levels, geometric stat growth was also paired with all of this, which changes how much you grow while leveling up. It now adds percentage-based points instead of 10 points per level. This makes you feel the progression steadily instead of being slowed down by level 25. This also makes it so that you grow stronger as your leveling up slows down. The trade-off is more felt at higher levels, and 10 points just isn't good enough at that point. Food has also been overhauled by the mod Food and Hunt Overhaul, making it worthwhile to cook. Now there are tons of recipes that'll give you the edge in battle. I couldn't find a patch that would make it work with survival, so you'll still need to eat the vanilla food to satiate your hunger. These are some of the major gameplay changes that affect the world and how the player chooses to navigate and develop inside of it. Before we get deeper into things such as combat and graphics, let's top it off with quality of life mods. Control. Control makes life in Skyrim so much easier by saving you so much time navigating the menus. Vanilla Skyrim only gives you the option to favorite 2 items, which isn't enough. With Control, you can now add up to 8 different favorites using the full D-pad. Not only that, but now you can do a lot of things such as access every sub-menu with the press of a button instead of manually navigating through the menus. You can also do things like auto-run and auto-save with similar actions. This mod takes time to get used to since you'll have to learn the buttons, but once you learn Control, you will never go without it again. Kill feed is another quality of life mod that simply provides us with the knowledge of who killed who. So if a wolf kills a chicken in your area, you'll know about it. This is used to help you monitor combat situations regarding followers and other NPCs. Now you'll know if your follower died or just got lost. We have another UI mod that makes the game feel more like an RPG, as well as provide us with some more info. That mod is EHI Redux, or Redo. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that word. This mod attaches a health bar above the enemy. Not only that, but it shows damage numbers and the level of the enemy. Each of these functions can be customized like many of the other mods on this list. Fast traveling has been made a little bit more immersive thanks to the mod Unmoored, a mod that adds way shrines to the game. Way shrines are used to fast travel all over Tamriel in the Elder Scrolls Online, and now they've been added to Skyrim. If you are using survival mode, these will be more useful to you. Make sure you discover them and activate them by walking up to them. Also, the mod Functional Road Signs makes it so that you can use road signs to fast travel as well. And to make them stand out a little bit more, lit road signs is thrown in to complement them. Using a torch is much more valuable this time around with this combination of mods, so in order to make them valuable, I had to enhance them as well. Better Torch Positioning is a mod that moves the torch off screen while in first person. It'll no longer be in your face, making it easier to see. We'll also be adding the mods Torchlight Expanded and Brighter Torches to the list. Torches will now tire out your arm if you're holding it for too long, and so you'll need to put it up from time to time in order to give yourself some rest. This can be a bit of a problem when you get ambushed, and you're pretty much cooked if you're in the dark. Luckily, SM Drop Lit Torches was added to the list. You can now drop lit torches by the press of a button or by switching it out with a weapon. To help you avoid getting ambushed, TDG's combat alert sound will alert you when you enter combat. But why let yourself get ambushed when you could have used amazing follower tweaks to create up to a 6-man party? You could even control and manage every party member using this mod. You can turn them all into werewolves, vampire lords, level them up, and even control their combat styles. But it's alright, I only ever really use them as meat shields and storage space. Now, we do have to stop doing that, especially since we have TDG's crafting bag to hold on to all of our materials. It weighs nothing, and it stores all the crafting materials you could ever want. If you need to craft, just take the items out of the bag and place it into your inventory. This item alone is worth the $10 to $15 a month you'd pay in Elder Scrolls Online, and now it's free in Skyrim. And speaking of ESO, they had the right idea by allowing you to wear 2 rings and 1 amulet instead of just 1 ring, 1 amulet. IA92's Wear 2 Rings helps make you feel more completed. Lastly, as far as general quality of life, if you're staying around a town for a few days, extended stay just might be for you. You can now purchase a room for up to 1 month in-game. We've now dealt with all the changes to the general world and how it works. Now, I'll be going over combat changes. Combat was modded in a modular way, so you can choose which aspect of the combat system you don't want or you would like to replace. Magic and stamina-based combat has been completely changed. Stamina has been reworked and is more important than ever. This time around, stamina usage is more realistic as many more actions now affect it. For example, holding a torch, jumping, jogging, swinging a weapon, and many other related actions, each of them varying in consumption rate. This may sound annoying to some, but don't worry. Resources such as stamina now regenerates at a much faster rate, so you can now get back into the fight much faster. This is all thanks to the mods Mortal Kombat Fast-Paced Combat Tweaks, Don't Get Tired Now, and TDG's Advanced Combat Parry and Stamina Standalone. Speaking of TDG's Advanced Combat, pairing that up with Sekido Combat S makes it so that you can now perform a perfect block and weapon clashing. If you perfect block, which means to block as the attack is about to land on you, you will now receive extra stamina as a bonus for doing so. This also makes it so that you don't take any damage while blocking. If you're in a pinch and low on stamina, try to perfect block and regain your stamina that way. You can find Sekido combat patches that'll make the perfect blocking window either larger or tighter depending on your taste. Make sure the patch is placed below the main Sekido combat mod. A weapon clash is performed by attacking at the same time as your opponent, similar to a perfect block. If done correctly, you will hear a weapon clash sound effect and only take partial damage instead. This is better than being directly hit. Keep in mind that if stamina is too low, you won't be able to guard yourself or swing your weapon, and you'll have to run away for a sec to gain it back. Now, with all of these changes, other parts of combat had to be changed as well to make combat feel even more realistic and impactful. While in combat, power attacks have a chance to knock someone off their feet for a moment, thanks to the mod UKDS, Ultimate Knockdown System. Not only can you knock someone down, but if they're low enough, they can even be knocked out since I included Simple Knockout, and now they're at your mercy. Knocked out NPCs appear to be paralyzed, so if someone looks paralyzed, you can walk up to them and press the speak button to begin manipulating them. You won't see this as a pop-up, so you'll have to look at them to activate it. In this state, you can rob them, execute them, or even revive them. A reminder, you too can be knocked down, but not knocked out. Since you and all other NPCs are affected by this, this includes your followers as well. If your followers defeated in combat, they'll be knocked out and appear dead for the duration of the fight. The more damage they receive, the longer it takes for them to wake back up after the fight. So I do recommend gathering some travel buddies with the party system. Stay down is the culprit for all of this. Now that everyone reacts more realistically to getting beat up, doing the beating up has to be thoroughly improved as well. There's a point you can hit that'll make combat feel a little bit too realistic, so instead, I made sure to make the changes that would still allow the game to be a game as well as keep some realism. Starting with retimed hit frame, to make it so that the weapon actually has to hit the target to deal damage. Hit stop, to make each connected attack feel as if it actually hit something. Sweep, to make it possible to cleave down your enemies. No more slashing through everyone and only one person getting hit. Add stagger to attack, making each attack have a set percentage to stagger the enemies, giving you an opportunity to attack. No auto aim for bows. Now you'll have to lead your shots since arrows will no longer auto track. The mod Mortal Kombat slows arrows down a lot so you can have an easier time dodging them. This can make being an archer much harder. There are a few mods that'll speed up the arrow's velocity if it's too slow for you. Make sure you place that mod below Mortal Kombat. I've also added reduced attack skating, so strafing is a lot harder to do. No one actually fights like that. No power attack pivot, meaning enemies no longer track you with power attacks. No disarm, so nothing can force you to drop your weapons onto the floor. Instead, you will just unequip them. Effective blocking, making it so that blocking is actually useful for more than just bashing. We're also going to be pairing that up with wider block angle. Instead of only blocking what's at a 30 to 45 degree angle in front of you, blocking now covers about 180 degrees in front of you now. Ranged block recoil fix, to stop the NPCs from recoiling after blocking ranged attacks, essentially making them fire at you again immediately. Altered movement speeds, followed by NPCs walk and run at your pace, to make all movement fair and realistic. This slightly slows down combat just a bit. And lastly, throwing weapons light, which adds many different throwable weapons and bombs to the game, usable by both players and NPCs. Now for the quality of life combat mods. Auto unequip ammo so you won't have to do it manually. Unequip helmet outside of combat so you don't have to do it manually. It also auto equips in combat. Infinite weapon charge, because filling soul gems is pretty annoying. Adjusted aim package, to make the aim feel as smooth as a shooting game. It disables dead zones, aim acceleration, and a few other settings. Keep in mind that if you have stick drift, navigating menus will be much more difficult with this mod. Since it's picking up the stick drift, the menus won't work until you reposition an analog stick back to the center, where it won't pick up the drift. I added an unarmed hotkey as well, so you can quickly clear both hands. This can be favorited and it can be assigned a quick access slot. This works well with control. Lastly, big ultimate kills. This makes it so that you will frequently perform executions and decapitations. Decapitations are now unlocked from the start. This is about it for stamina-based combat. Magic combat is also affected by some of these as well. And now, we'll be going over the changes made to magic combat. Magic has been improved in this load order as well. Starting with the major changes to magic, we have mysticism. This mod not only balances out the spells, but it also fixes hundreds of issues with spells in general. This also overhauls the entire magic system by expanding magic archetypes like adding poisons and sun spells. This also includes weapons, which are also added to the loot pool and vendors. Another major change that affects both magic and stamina-based combat is Know Your Enemy. Know Your Enemy gives enemies its own strengths and weaknesses. Since this is an all-in-one mod, you'll have to look at the separate Know Your Enemy mods to get the full list of details. Or you can do what the author intended, which is to find the Know Your Enemy books in the game and learn by reading those. One of the books can be purchased at War Maiden's weapon store in Whiterun. NPC regen nerf makes it so that NPCs actually run out of resources and using up more magic, making them as good as you. This makes mages more balanced instead of super powerful like they previously were. Now to the more minor mods. Enhance Astronauts with leveling and luminosity. This mod reworks Astronauts, buffing them into basically summonable bosses. These Astronauts come in many different varieties ranging from weak to potent. Check the description for all the changes. To synergize with that and other mods similar, Sustain Magic is one of my favorite magic mods. Any spell that had a timer on it, such as Mage Armor, Summons, and anything else related, now borrows from your magic pool instead. Instead of it costing 50 magicka to cast a spell for a temporary amount of time, it'll instead take that from your magic pool in general. So for example, let's say you have 100 magicka, and I summon the familiar for 40 points. And then I cast an oak flesh spell for another 40 points. Altogether, that's 80 points taken from my magic pool. These spells are now being maintained forever until I dispel them with a dispel magic spell. At this point, my magic pool is now maxed out at 25 points, meaning I only have that much magic left to attack with while those other spells are active. It would end up saying 25 magic points out of 25 magic points, and this makes those spells worth using now. There's a ton of other changes that were made that'll further immerse you and make the world feel more alive. If you wish to know more, all you have to do is read the descriptions of the mods as you download them. Now, before you download this load order, I encourage you to continue watching the video once you've made it to the end. I'll be showing you exactly how I have it set up so you can follow along and achieve the same look. When you first boot up the game, it won't look as good since we need to activate and adjust a few of the mods. Use these adjustments as a template and then change them to your liking. I've calibrated these settings for a 4K HDR monitor. Your TV or monitor may need different settings to achieve what's best for it. And without further ado, here's the load order. Alright guys, so once you first boot up your game and you start a new save, you're going to end up in one of these little cabins. Once you get your character created, After a few moments or so, you'll end up with a few pop-ups like this. All you have to do is hit yes for all of them, and those should be the only 2 pop-ups you get. Now, the next thing we're going to do is open up our menu, go to Items, go to Books, and we're going to start with EHI Redux. It's already enabled. It's up to you if you want to fix anything here. And once you're done setting up EHI to your liking, we can go ahead and head to SWF2. The first thing we're going to do in this menu is go to HUD. After you go to HUD, we're going to go all the way to the right to More, and we're going to go all the way to Rollover Name. For some odd reason, the rollover names are slightly off on the X-axis, so what we're going to do is go to the X and we're going to enter 160. When you enter 160, everything is back to the center of the screen, so when you look at stuff like names and stuff, it's going to be right in the middle again. The next option we're going to choose is toggled eye adaptation. If you enabled it, it makes it so that your eye actually adapts to the lights around you. If you don't do that, certain areas could be too dark and too bright, so you want to make sure you enable that again. We're only using this mod to toggle off the bloom. Once you've enabled your toggle eye adaptation, the next thing we're going to do is start Skyrim. When you open up Skyrim, you're going to get these options here. You're going to end up starting with blank slate. Once you get blank slate on, we're going to head to display. It's up to you if you want to see the changes made as you're doing them, but I already know the settings, so no. First thing we're going to do is toggle on. The next thing we're going to do is enable the contrast fix. After that, we're going to enable the shadow fix. For snow, I usually like to just go to 1 because I really can't tell the difference. And as far as depth of field, for a universal look, I would go in between 0.60 to 0.80 in the strength, and the distance will be center or far. It's up to you to set these values how you like them. I highly recommend you using the depth of field option because it hides the background, which can be a little bit ugly. So all those billboard trees and stuff that you see in the back, those will be blurred and all the visuals around you will be slightly enhanced. Alright, so the next step that you want to do is go outside. We're going to go to our magic. We're going to go to powers, and we're going to go all the way down to SWF config power. Once you activate config power, the first place we're going to go to is graphic options. We're going to go to general. As far as the contrast, this is going to be dependent on your monitor or TV, but for me, I had to take some out. And so I chose -10 for the contrast. Next, we're going to do saturation, and I did -5 for saturation. That's it for those options. The next one will be sky. As far as sun scale, we're going to take that up to 20 or 25. I like 25. So once you get your sun scale up to 25, we're going to go take our sky scale up to 3. If you make the sky scale a little bit too high, all the mountains at night will end up being too bright. So once you're done setting up all the sky settings, you're going to go to your any settings, and we're going to go to general. This option here is just like having the mod visible favorited gear. So what we're going to do is disable gear, and then we're going to back out. So now all of our favorite weapons will end up on our back and side and stuff. Now we've completed just about everything as far as visuals. So next thing we're going to do is setting up our combat just a little bit. So what you're going to want to do is open up your magic menu and go to powers, and we're going to go configure wildcat. Since we have a bunch of mods that affect stamina, we're going to end up having to disable all the stamina options in this menu. First thing we're going to do is hit no. As for the stamina, we're going to hit 0, 0, 0, no, 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 and once you get up to activate full body stagger, yes. We're not going to disable the injury, so no. Between the two options, burst is my favorite, so you can try to do burst here. We're going to be using the default options of burst, so we're going to do 50, and then we're going to go all the way to 30. Now after that, they're going to ask you if you want to disable your injuries. No, 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 and no. So once everything is done, it's up to you if you want to keep this mod or remove it. I usually keep it just in case I don't like it, so it's up to you to test it out. But once you're satisfied, you can always get rid of this mod in order to clean up some space. So now everything is basically set up to where you would like it to be. Combat is set up the way it should be. There's a couple of things I wanted to go over so you wouldn't have too much difficulty in combat. So first thing, when you jog like this, you use stamina. So if you're out of stamina or you're low on stamina, you're actually not going to regen. So you want to move at a slightly slower rate. As long as you're not moving at the fastest pace, you'll be able to generate your stamina back. Now as far as magic, it actually takes a little bit of magic just to keep it in your hand. So if you can't cast anymore, or you wanted to regen, you actually have to put the magic spell up in order to gain your magic back. Those are the two most important things you need to know in order to maintain your resources during combat.